break, you're still watching NTV SportKnights. Now, tomorrow, 3rd December, is the International Day for Persons with Disabilities. And we here at NMG Nation Media Group are dedicating a full week of celebrating those individuals who are differently abled. Now, joining us is Paralympian Husnah Kukundakwe, who will be telling us a little bit about her story. Good evening, Husnah. I do not know where you are, but I've been told you have an early morning training session. So where are you and what are you preparing for? Welcome to NTV SportKnights.
Thank you so much for hosting me. I am at home right now. And of course, yes, I have an early training session tomorrow, but I'm more than happy to come here on TV today and talk about disability, disability awareness, inclusion, and so many other topics that around the day that is tomorrow, International Day of Disabilities.
Okay, I'm assuming is Kampala, Uganda, you know, because sports people, you know, have many homes, they go, you know, abroad and train and all that.
No, my home training base is always Uganda and Kampala.
Is Uganda. Okay, I hope you can hear us loud and clear. So what does this International Day for Persons with Disabilities, what does it mean to you?
As a sports person, for me, my entire life was changed through sport. I was born with my disability.
Yes.
So that came with lots of confidence issues, lots of discrimination. And I was able to come out of my shell through para-swimming, through doing para-sport. So for me, change starts with sport. I've also been opened up to platforms such as We the 15, which is a campaign that is aimed towards eliminating discrimination, promoting inclusion of people with disabilities. And it's actually a movement that represents 15%, which is about 1.2 billion people with disabilities around the world. And it was launched in Tokyo, which was my first ever Paralympic Games. And I was honored and excited to be a part of the campaign. And I remember doing interviews about it, and I was thinking to myself, this is going to be a historical event. It's going to change the lives of all people with disabilities around the world. It's going to be the next step towards inclusion, towards disability awareness for people all around the world. And it's also in line with the UN Sustainable Development Goals of reduced inequality and so many other platforms, not just internationally, but even in Uganda, such as Nudipu, have been able to spread that disability awareness for people with disabilities in Uganda. So a little bit about We the 15 is that it's initiated change not just through sport, but even just other international organizations in terms of policy, business, entertainment, arts, and even human rights organizations. So this platform has just brought together all those sectors of the world into building up a movement that supports people with disabilities into a sustainable and more developed future. Like the way, for example, Black Americans have Black Lives Matter movement, people with disabilities have We the 15 movement. It's where they can go to, it's what they can rally behind, it's something that can give them the drive to keep working better and better to show people their abilities rather than people looking at them for their disabilities. So its major aim is to end discrimination towards people with disabilities, and I'm sure, and I have seen it in real time, so much has happened since the Paralympic Games in terms of disability employment internationally, but I'm also yet to see it in Uganda.
Okay. Now, I do know that in Uganda we do not have an Olympic-sized swimming pool. So I'm imagining that on top of you know, it being harder for you in terms of practice, because we had Ganzi here and he was telling us the size of the swimming pools. How easy is it for you to train, and how much more effort do you put in order to, because you're practicing with a smaller pool, and then when you go and you see this humongous pool, you know, the first time you saw it, what did you actually think?
I was genuinely worried if I was going to be able to swim across the full length. But I honestly realized that there's lots of change that needs to happen in Uganda in terms of just growing sports.
Yeah.
And also teaching people about Paralympic sports. Most people confuse it and say Para-Olympics, yet it's Paralympics.
Paralympics, yeah.
And I think that confusion comes about because they think they are together, but they're actually two different events. The Paralympics and the Olympics just happen parallel to each other. That's why they are called para. So in teaching people that the Paralympics are different from the Olympics, it also kind of opens them up to the world of disability as well as even the Special Olympics. Because most people see the Special Olympics and the Olympics and the Paralympic Games as almost the same exact thing, but they are totally different activities. For example, all people with disabilities can go compete in the Special Olympics, but not every single person with not every single athlete with a disability can compete in the Paralympic Games. Same way, not every other disabled person, not every other able-bodied person can compete in the Olympics. It's the elite event for every athlete. So of course, when I go there and I see someone with a worse disability than me swimming across the pool maybe twice or 3 times, it kind of gives me the confidence, of course, to also go in and do the best that I can do with the training that I've been able to acquire from the 25-meter pools we have in Uganda.
Yeah.
And to also help solve the challenge a little bit, I try to go to Munyonya, which is the only 50-meter pool we have in Uganda. And it's also a leisure swimming pool, so it doesn't have the exact standards. I do try to go there once every week or maybe more regularly when I have an international competition coming up. And yeah, it's a challenge that we face here in Uganda, not just as a personal, but even just the swimming community in general. But as a para-athlete, it's very important to also spread to people that it's not the Para-Olympics, but the Paralympics.
Okay. And what message would you give to parents and maybe guardians of children with who are differently abled?
I would encourage the parents to not create a negative environment, because personally growing up, my parents were very, very uplifting. And when I realized that I was different, I realized that most people were looking at me and pointing fingers and laughing, and that's when I had the notion in my head that my disability was bad, that there's something absolutely wrong with me. So that environment of negativity just made me lose lots of confidence, become shy, and just, like in the story, always wear a shirt and try to hide my hand. So if parents, family, friends, anyone around someone with disabilities, they should support that person, never make them feel excluded from any activity, even though it's like seen as difficult for them to do. Just let them try. Always give people with a disability an opportunity to try, so that they feel uplifted. And instead of feeling sorry for them, because when you feel sorry for someone so much, they also begin to feel sorry for themselves, which is actually what most communities in Uganda do towards people with disabilities, leading them to feel neglected, leading them to feel pity for themselves and end up going to the streets to beg. So in supporting them, in uplifting them, in making them feel like they are worth, that they are important people in the community, and giving them the opportunity to try and prove themselves with important people in the community, they'll definitely be doing lots of justice, lots of help towards people with disabilities in their communities. And to the people with disabilities, I would urge them to keep trying to push further, to push beyond the barriers, because there are people who are going to push you down, but you need to remember that it's your life. And if you believe you can do it, then keep pushing and keep trying to prove to people that you can. which is what I've been able to do with my swimming career. And also with that, I've been able to also inspire so many other people with disabilities around the world to join parasport. And also, I would encourage all people with disabilities to try and find something that they love, that they would find passion in doing, like a helpful sport. And actually, sport is the best outlet, I would say, for a person with a disability, because it not only challenges you physically, but also mentally and emotionally, and it also brings you out of your shell when you're able to achieve in it very, very well. And also gives you a platform such as this to share your story, to spread about disability awareness and promote worldly aspirations such as inclusion.
Okay, thank you very much, Husnah. And as we let you go, because we know you're preparing and you need to sleep early, will you be doing anything special tomorrow?
Yes. Like the rest of you, I'm going to go online and research more about disability awareness by listening to the stories of so many other people with disabilities around the world. And also, I'll be sharing a message on my Instagram. You can go check that out. On my handle is Husnah Kukundakwe. So you can go check that out. I'll be sharing a message about it, about disability awareness, and on top of that, listening to so many other stories.
Oh.
And actually,
yes,
I wanted to show a little bit of this book. I don't know if it can be seen on the television.
Yes, Perfectly Imperfect.
Perfectly Imperfect. It is the ideal story that I would recommend anyone to read, because it shows how perfectly imperfect people with disabilities are. They may not be perfectly per se built, because I don't have full hands, but I'm still able to perfectly swim.
Yeah.
So this book in particular is all about embracing difference, finding your superpower as a person with a disability. And it was actually written by my role model, Ellen Keane. She is the athlete that I've always looked up to ever since I started power swimming. She has always inspired me, and when I started reading this book, it was even more relatable than anything that I've ever read in my life. And I'm very, very thankful that right now there are platforms where you can learn more, where you can read and realize that you're not the first person to ever experience something like that. And also there are also clues on how to feel less, how to embrace your difference, I would say. So I'm very, very fortunate to have been born in this generation. And I would urge so many other people with disabilities to just look out for books such as this one, to be educated, to feel less lonely in their own world, and enjoy tomorrow as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Give her a hand clap for inspiring the country.
Thank you so much, Husnah Kukundakwe, and indeed we shall be following you tomorrow on social media. She has been speaking to us about defying the disability stereotypes ahead of the International Day for Persons with Disability, which is 3rd December, tomorrow.